Hi, I'm Gareth Rose from IPitch.com.au. I'm here today with Alex Sparks. Alex was co-founder of CountryCars.com.au, a business he grew from scratch and sold to Fairfax Digital. He's now an active angel investor at Greenlane Digital. I work with him closely at IPitch. He's also involved in Bloodstock.com.au, iBrain, Big Richard, and probably some others I don't know about. He's an entrepreneur with a lot of experience in startups, a successful track record, and I'll be finding out today how he grew CountryCars to a multi-million-dollar exit, what he learned, what mistakes he made, and what you guys in the IPitch community can learn from his experience and apply to your own startups. Welcome, Alex.
Thanks, Gareth.
So, was CountryCars your first business? What were you doing with yourself before then?
Look, it was my first business, and I'd basically just finished university when I'd probably only known David for about 9 months, 9-10 months at that point. And I being a sixth-generation cattle farmer, just finishing off university, David and I were looking around, trying to get into business together. We had a couple of ideas prior to CountryCars, and eventually we settled on CountryCars, which we thought was a pretty good idea, and away we went.
And so when was that? What year that you just started?
The business officially started November 2005.
Okay, and where did the initial idea come from?
Well, the idea came from probably, David would credit the idea to himself, and it was his idea. He was driving down the main street of Orange one day with his girlfriend, and saw a for sale sign in the back of a sticker in the back of a car, and thought, maybe we could put some of these cars on a website and promote the website and go from there. So he quickly came back, told me about the idea. We quite quickly did some research online and noticed that whilst there was the likes of Car Sales Drive, CarPoint, online at that point, there was really no websites that sort of catered for Orange or Bathurst or Dubbo, the Central West, or Country Australia itself. So that's really where the idea came from.
Okay, great. And you just started with your own money? How much did you initially put in to start with?
Look, we did start out with our own money, and it started from pretty humble beginnings. We probably contributed $1,500 to $2,000 each, and just sort of tried to drive our dollar as far as we could. Obviously from there, we just did our best to get a website live, and start the business from there.
Look, talk to me about that. I mean, I don't think either of you guys are technical. Being an online business, how did you initially get the website set up, manage it, and sort of deal with technical issues associated with the online business?
Well, I mean, we're at the point where we're like, okay, this seems like a semi-good idea. We sat down and we had a little bit of a discussion time where we sort of started to talk a couple of tactics around how we'd approach starting a business. Like you say, we didn't really have any technical background, and therefore the first thing we did was, where can we get a website from? So we started, Googling around, and we came across this website in the UK, that basically sold horses online, and we thought, this is similar to what we want to do, but we want to do it for cars. So we emailed across to a guy by the name of Mike Lees and said, is there any way that we can sort of convert what you've got there to accommodate cars? And he said, yeah, not a drama at all. So that's basically where the website kicked off, and he provided us for many years technical support from the other side of the globe, which is really quite incredible.
Yeah, okay. So I mean, almost once that was up and running, you didn't need to really worry about all the issues associated with. He was all handling that.
Yeah. Well, look, it was quite. I mean, it was quite a challenge to manage the technology side of the business, because we weren't face to face with Mike, and there was the time zone difference, and we obviously just couldn't sit down with him and discuss things. So there was that challenge, but I think gradually as we began to work longer together, we grew into a great working relationship, and he basically progressed the technology really well for us.
Cool. So how did it actually start? What was the first things you did to get the business going? I mean, you mentioned getting this website up and running. But other than that, what were the first things?
Well, the first thing we did was we were like, well, okay, what's going to be the crux of the business? What sort of business model are we going to run with? What are we going to advertise? Who are we going to target? How are we going to promote it? Things like that. Just really grassroots stuff that we really had to put in place before we felt confident that we could go out to the market with a business that people wanted. So our first step was really just to mud map out how the business was going to look. And we realised that quite simply that if we put in place a strategy of marketing country cars to country people, that there was a niche for a business like that, and basically that was the first stepping stone that we encountered.
That makes sense. Tell me though, did you spend a lot of time planning out that process before you sort of got underway and started talking to potential customers, or was that like 2 weeks, or I mean, was it a 2 week type thing, or was it a 2 month type thing?
It took a couple of months, and we not having a technology background, we were sort of a little bit over cautious about making sure that the website itself worked and the platform itself could deliver something that the market was going to want before we went out and saw the car dealers and started getting cars on the website. But look, other than that, being the fact that it was our first business, we were just full of energy and we just wanted to get stuck into it. So we really we did a little bit, we drew out a few mud maps and did a little bit of work mapping out where we thought the business might go. But more than anything, we just wanted to get stuck into it. So
okay, cool. Question I didn't have, but it's popped into my mind. It was a 2 month planning period, and then it would have taken a little while to get revenue. How were you making money at the time to support you guys?
I was in quite a fortunate position, having just left university, where at the time I really didn't have many costs because it was quite unique. I was a boarding school master, so I didn't have to pay rent or pay for any food. I got accommodation and all my meals catered for. So really, any sort of spare cash that I had up until when we started the venture, obviously because I didn't have the expenses that I could have pushed it straight into the business. So, it really it is a sort of a catch-22 situation for a lot of entrepreneurs out there today. How do they sort of put themselves in a productive environment where they can accommodate a startup business and also maintain their lifestyle. So I was quite fortunate.
Okay, great. So what was the business model?
Well, the business model was pretty similar to, we knew that we weren't inventing anything new or special in terms of the business model. We knew that car sales was already doing it. A number of other websites were already doing it. So what we were putting together was a standard online car classifieds business model. But the real key was that it was a niche business, centered around people from country and regional Australia.
So to clarify that, classifieds is in they pay a upfront fee.
That's correct.
A listing fee, and then
So the revenue model itself was, and we did spend a lot of time figuring this out, and of all the planning and the strategy that we did early on, this is one of the ones that we took a little bit of time to make sure we got right, because we understood the importance of making sure that we had the right revenue model, because if you don't get the right revenue model, then often a business can't sustain activity going forward. So it was a flat fee for a car dealer, and they could list it as many vehicles on the website as they wanted.
Okay, great. So when you did lock down the revenue model, and you think, we've got it now, was it just a case of we've got it now, let's try and scale, or what was the process from then? Yeah,
it pretty much was. From as soon as we decided on how much we're going to charge and the fundamentals around charging car dealers, we incentivised them by offering a 2 to 3 month free trial. And given that a lot of rural and regional car dealers, hadn't really had any experience online, it really was a massive benefit that we could stand behind the product, say, look, have 2 or 3 months for free. We're very confident that we'll deliver you results, and at the end of the trial, if you're happy with it, obviously you're not going to mind paying money for a service that's adding value to your business. So the free trial was very, very important to us, and it got a lot a lot of car dealers onto the website. And from there, we just had to manage their expectations and manage their results to make sure that at the end of the free trial, that we could convert as many of those car dealers from a free trial to a paying client.
Okay, so talk to me about that. I mean, and just to clarify, was it direct sales? You're calling up the dealerships, maybe going out and meeting them, and then pitching them? Is that how it works?
Well, one of the challenges with obviously CountryCars was that Australia is such a big place that we had car dealers from everywhere and anywhere and everywhere, and it meant that quite often if we could get a good group of car dealers together in a regional area, that we would organise a road trip where we would do pre-arrival calls. We'd give them an idea of who we are, what we're all about, and lock in a time to go and see them. And at that point, we'd then make a trip to wherever it was, and we'd in person visit the car dealership and put on table what we had to offer with CountryCars.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So back to the question I was going to ask is, in terms of converting, what was the conversions from initial, your prospect list, you called them and then getting that meeting and then pitching to them, and then getting the trial and then actually going on to their paying for you? What were the sort of conversions that went through in those 2 or 3 steps?
Look, it was quite high. I mean, we grew the business via TV signals. So one of the advantages that we had at CountryCars, as opposed to you do in Sydney or Brisbane or any metro areas, is that we could grow our business via TV signal because it was quite cheap to get on the television. We would go to a region and basically target any dealers in that TV signal. So when we go there initially, there wasn't really too many car dealers that would knock back the free trial. So effectively we'd probably get 90 to 95% depending on whether we could see everyone or not, or whether they could make time for us. From there, typically we knew that the crux of the business or the engine of the business was to make sure we got them from the free trial all the way through to a paying client. So we managed their expectations around how to get results, when to expect results, how to follow up leads, all that sort of stuff. So we worked really closely so that at the end of the 3 months, when someone picked up the phone and said, look, you've got to now pay $400 a month for CountryCars, it wasn't a rude shock. They were getting results, they understood the internet, they were a lot more comfortable with it, and they above all could see the value in it. So they said, no worries, we're happy to pay. And it was very, very rare for the conversion rate from a free trial to a paying customer in any one region to be below 75-80%.
Okay, so if it was 90 and then 75 or 80, then certainly it was very high.
Yeah, and look, at some points in some situations extenuating circumstances may have meant that we had to extend a trial for a month.
Okay, yeah.